Thank you for checking out In the Now Eventually Press, a home for independent writers. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. You can also follow the link in the description to our Patreon page and become a patron for access to special bonuses. Thank you, and please enjoy the story.
Abigail Goes to the Store by Brix McDonald. The beach is pristine, an untouched expanse of sparkling sand. The water is clear blue and inviting, and the chi-chi, served in a coconut, is cool against her tongue. Delicious. Abigail stretches under the tropical sun and smiles as he, her love, walks out of the surf and toward her. Drops of water glistening on his tanned, muscular body. He smiles, and his teeth gleam against his handsome face. He lifts his hand, showing her the oyster and the pearl within. Coming to her, he leans over her, his lips, "Abigail, damn it!" jerked abruptly away from sun-drenched beaches into the dreary reality of her life with Bud. She stares down at her arms, immersed into the elbows in greasy dishwater. "Bring me a beer." Abigail sighs and wipes her hands. As soon as she is finished in the kitchen, she will leave Bud to his Lakers game and his beer, and escape into a long sudsy soak with the romance novel she picked up at Safeway. She opens the refrigerator. Drat, no beer. She forgot to buy more. Bud, sprawled on the sofa in his usual after-dinner position, pants unzipped, hairy belly hanging out, Bud shows that love is not as blind as the desperation of a loveless woman. "Where's my beer?" he growls, looking at the TV. "It's all gone. I'm sorry." "Damn it, Abigail. All I ask is to be able to watch a game and have a few beers to drink. How much brain does it take to keep a sixer in the fridge? You stay home all day and do nothing except lock yourself in the bathroom with those stupid love stories." "Why do you always say I do nothing? You know I spend most of my time caring for your mother, and she runs me ragged." Abigail wishes she could stop her voice from trembling. Bud snorts, foam spraying from his lips. "What's so hard about taking care of an 80-year-old woman? You bring her a couple meals and straighten her room. Big deal." "Right," Abigail thinks, "and I carry her back and forth to the bathroom and cater to her demands all day. And I have to change her linens every 3 days because she's as big a smelly slob as you are. And I have to cook her meals twice because she never likes what I bring for her the first time. And I run up and down the stairs all day long and to the pharmacy for her prescriptions. And then, if the house isn't in perfect order and dinner isn't on time, I catch hell from you." But all she says is, "I guess you're right." Abigail is trapped. She tried to leave once, but with no money and nowhere to go, she came back. Now it's better to just agree with Bud. She's trapped, and she knows it. "Damn straight I'm right. Now go to the store before the game's over, and check on my mom before you go." "She's sleeping, Bud. I don't want to wake her." "Well, check on her anyway." He hollers. "I don't want to be bothered again." That wakes the old lady, as Abigail is sure it was meant to. And she calls down in her warbling voice, "Abigail, Abigail, I need to go to the bathroom." 20 minutes later, after changing soiled bed sheets, the old bat has either the world's weakest bladder or the most spiteful nature, and getting her settled in what should have been Abigail's bubble bath, and promising 6 times to be back before the water gets cool, Abigail drives to the quick shop. She tries to keep her face very still. She must not care. Must not so much as turn down the corners of her mouth, or she will cry and never stop, and the car will overflow and her sorrow will wash away Los Angeles. She keeps her dry eyes straight ahead and turns her thoughts to lush islands and handsome men and make-believe love and happiness. The store is one of those mini-mart convenience places. Easy to get to, easy to park. Grab what you need and you're back in your car in minutes. Everything costs twice as much as a regular market, but that doesn't seem to stop the hordes from coming. Tonight, the parking lot is deserted, eerie in its emptiness. It is dusk, getting dark fast, and she is still the only customer as she leaves the store. She hunches her shoulders against the feeling of being watched. The gravelly crunch of footsteps behind her makes her turn quickly, and she gasps. A tall figure in a trench coat approaches her. His coat collar is turned up, shielding his face, and a dark hat is pulled low on his forehead. All she can see are his eyes, reflecting the dim light from a street lamp. They are the blue-green color of tropical waters, and they are looking at her intensely. Her heart begins to beat in a wildly unfamiliar way. She panics, quickly turns to her car as she tries to unlock the door, her hands shaking so badly that the key falls from her grasp.
Allow me.
He is right there, next to her, retrieving the key and sliding it into the lock. He opens the door and stands aside. Thank you. She manages to stutter. She slides in and reaches out to pull the door closed. He stops her, setting his hand on hers and staring into her face. Their eyes meet. Abigail's stomach does a flip-flop. He says something that she doesn't catch. What? Who is he? Is he some kind of smooth masher? He has an Ivy League way of speaking. Not your run-of-the-mill homeless crazy. Maybe he's the friendly neighborhood psychopath? You can't be too careful in LA, even if his eyes do remind you of warm blue waters.
Please. I said I'm in a bit of a bind and I wondered if you might help me.
She tries again to close the door.
You don't have to help me. I can certainly understand your hesitation.
His accent is tantalizing. I don't have any money I can give you. Sorry.
It's not money I want.
He pauses and quickly surveys the parking lot, his blue eyes piercing the shadows.
I'm sorry to approach you like this, but I'm quite desperate, as you can see. You may think I'm crazy, but you must believe me and help me. This is of national importance. I'm afraid they're on to me.
Abigail cannot think of a word to say. What in the world is he talking about? Who is on to him? And why? Yet he's the most gorgeous nut she's ever seen. Abigail is shocked to realize that she wants to believe him. And do crazy people wear such nice coats? I'm sorry, I don't think Please. His eyes implore her. You're the only one who can help me, they seem to say.
I feel a sense of destiny in our meeting, don't you?
Yes, she feels it. There must have been a reason Bud ran out of beer tonight. He never has before. These eyes aren't calm pools of blue. They are tidal waves that crash against her resistance. Here is someone who needs her, for more than fetching beer and changing dirty sheets. His urgency is so believable.
Here.
He reaches under his coat and Abigail stiffens. He pulls something out and thrusts it at her.
Go to the Union Station and wait near the ticket counters. I'll meet you there in 45 minutes.
A teddy bear? She gazes at the large stuffed animal.
A very special teddy bear. Will you do it?
Let me think about it.
Of course, but remember, we have very little time.
Abigail! A voice in her head shouts, Go for it! I'll do it. He smiles again and his teeth shine like a neon sign against the darkness of his shadowed face.
Now remember, Union Station on Alameda. I will see you in 45 minutes. Keep the bear with you.
He isn't giving her another chance to hesitate. Union Station, ticket counters, keep the bear with me. She is bewildered and excited and scared. "What is your name?" "Abigail Roberts." "Abigail, may I call you Abby? I'll always remember it as the name of a generous, courageous woman. Abby, your country and I thank you." He slips away into the darkness. Abigail leans her head back and closes her eyes. She smiles. For the first time in her life, someone has called her Abby. She's never been the Abby sort. Abbies are blonde, not mousy brunettes like she is. Abbies are cheerleaders, popular, career women, well-loved with children and lots of friends, the sort of people who have nicknames. She opens her eyes. 3 cars have joined her in front of the store. People are slamming doors, coming and going. Where were they before? She wonders. Did I just dream that whole thing? Did someone really call me Abby? She gives herself a pinch, a sharp one. Ow! No, it wasn't a dream. She picks up the bear and stares at it. It takes her 20 minutes to get to Union Station. A string of cars and taxis line the front of the terminal. People stream from the station, voices raised in greetings, hands raised to signal friends and cab drivers. She parks and walks a few feet from the car before realizing that she's forgotten the bear. Now, here's a problem. It is a good-sized bear, about the size of a beagle. Try as she may, she cannot squeeze it into her purse. She will have to carry it. She feels like a fool, not like a heroine about to save her country from some unnamed menace. She waits. It will be interesting to see the mysterious stranger in the lighted station. Will he be as handsome as he sounded? Not that she is forming any ideas about romantic interludes or salvation from Bud. She knows she is only beautiful in her daydreams. She waits some more, considering calling home, and decides not to. How will she explain this? So she waits. For an adventure, she thinks, this sure is boring. Time passes, and it occurs to Abigail that she might be the butt of some obscene joke. Bud must be having a beer fit by now, she thinks. And then there's his mother, pruning in the bathwater. Of course, Mr. Couch Spud will never go up and help her out of the tub. The image of the old witch shivering in the tub as the water gets cooler and cooler makes Abigail decide to wait a bit longer. If nothing happens in the next 10 minutes, she thinks, I'll leave and chalk the whole thing up to a gullibility and a desperate desire for excitement. She sighs. Somewhere behind her, a payphone rings. "Bear? What bear?" a woman asks. "That's for me!" Abigail shrieks. She dashes to the phone, knocking the woman aside, and grabs the receiver. "Hello? Hello?" "Hello, Abby." His voice makes her think of silk sheets. How silly. A man hurries up and stands near her, tapping his foot and looking at his watch. He glances at the bear and smiles briefly, something gold twinkling in his mouth as he does. "Abby, listen to me. Do you have the bear with you?" "Yes, just like you told me to. Where are you? Why aren't you here? I've been waiting a long time." Abigail stops short of telling him her husband is going to be furious with her. "There have been some problems," he says. "I need you to board the southbound train to San Diego." "San Diego? But I don't—" "Abby, please, listen carefully. You'll only be going as far as Anaheim. Get off there and wait for me in front of the station. The train's leaving in a few minutes, so you're going to have to run for it and get a ticket on board." "But you don't understand. I don't—" "There's no time to discuss this. Don't miss it. It's imperative, and please be careful." The line goes dead. "Shoot!" Abigail says. She tries to tell him that she doesn't have any money with her. She spent all she had on Bud's beer. She tucks the bear under her arm like a football and begins to run. When she finally reaches the train and plops into a seat, she is panting and perspiring. It begins to move immediately. "Excuse me, ma'am. Would you like me to hold your, bear while you catch your breath?" A man across the aisle from her is reaching out, smiling. He is round and red-faced. Perspiration drips from his forehead. From behind his smile, a gold tooth winks at her. He seems familiar. Abigail moves the bear out of reach. "No, thank you. I'm fine." "Are you sure you wouldn't like me to take it?" He is holding a gun concealed in the folds of a newspaper, and it's aimed at Abigail. Now she remembers. He's the man from the train station. "Don't move," he says. "Now, I'll just take that." He leans across her to grab the bear. "Sir!" Abigail finds the courage to shout, "Keep your hands to yourself." He stops in mid-grab, a look of shock and incredulity crossing his face. "Hey, you!" Someone calls. "What do you think you're doing?" A large, forbidding-looking man starts toward them. "You get away from that lady!" Miraculously, he does just that. He gives Abigail a last baleful look and hurries through the door to the next car. "Are you all right, lady?" Her rescuer asks. "Yes, thank you." Abigail replies, smiling up at him. The smile freezes on her face. He holds a gun under his jacket. "Good," he says. "Then why don't you just quietly hand me that bear?" "You wouldn't shoot me on a crowded train." Abigail clutches the bear tighter. "Don't try me, lady. Give it to me." How did I get myself into this? Abigail wonders. Can this really be happening to me? She thinks of the man from the store and his tropical eyes. He'd call her Abby and had faith in her. Her chin comes up and she glares defiantly at the man. I will not give him this bear, she thinks. At least if he kills me, I won't have to go home to Bud. A small, freckled face pops up in the seat in front of her. Freeze! The kid shouts, holding a large revolver in both hands, pointed steadily at the astonished dark face. What the? The man says, lowering his gun. I told you to freeze! The kid pulls the trigger, sending a stream of water into the man's eyes. The kid's mother cries, Billy, what are you doing now? He drops a realistic-looking squirt gun. Abigail seizes it and jumps up, yelling, Conductor! And continues to spray the gunman's eyes. People are getting up to see what the commotion is. Billy howls. Abigail keeps yelling for the conductor. Her would-be assailant is groping at his eyes, shouting, My contacts! Who's responsible for this disturbance? The conductor stands at the front of the car, surveying the pandemonium. I am, screeches Abigail. Over here! The conductor blows a whistle, and the noise stops. Everyone, take your seats. Now. Have your tickets ready. You, madame. He motions to Abigail. Come here. There are 2 men with guns on this train, Abigail cries. They tried to take my bear. I beg your pardon? 2 men tried to take your teddy bear at gunpoint? Yes, that man right there. She turns to point out the man, but he is gone. He was just there. He's still on the train. The conductor looks at the gun she is holding. It is dripping water. Did they have guns like yours? He asks. Don't humor me. They might have killed me. Can't he see she is trembling? For the teddy bear? Yes. Why would they want to take your bear? He looks at her sternly. It's... Abigail stops, biting her tongue. What can she be thinking? She can't tell the conductor anything. Well? I'm afraid I can't divulge that information, she says. Okay, lady, it's been a long day. Where's your ticket? I don't have one. I didn't have time to buy one at the station. Fine, you can buy it from me. I don't have any money with me. You're quite a character. You know that, lady? Just sit down and don't make another sound. Security can deal with you at the first stop. Abigail sits, shaking her head. A trip to the store just to buy beer shouldn't be this complicated. Abigail examines the bear. There has to be something hidden in it, of course. She is probably better off not knowing what it is. She wants to hand it over to the stranger with the beautiful eyes and go. Go where? Back to her mundane, dead-end life? Maybe when she puts the spare safely in his hands, she'll ask him if there are any jobs open with whatever agency he works for. She'll start at the bottom, no problem. There must be something she can do. They owe her for the risks she's taken. This makes her think of the men with the guns, and she looks around nervously. They are nowhere in sight. She grips the squirt gun. It's all she has. Hopefully, that first guy wears contacts, too. A voice booms over the loudspeaker. We will be arriving at the Anaheim station in approximately 3 minutes. Please check your seats and the overhead rack for any personal belongings before you depart. Next stop, Anaheim. Abigail sighs with relief. Within minutes, she will hand this silly stuffed toy over and be done with the whole business. She doesn't think they, whoever they are, will really give her a job. After all, who is she? But she is definitely going to demand train fare back to her car. A firm hand grips her arm. She starts to spin around, bringing the water pistol up. It's the conductor. No funny stuff, lady. I'm taking you to security myself. He keeps a hand on her shoulder as he escorts her from the train. Teddy bear clutched against her bosom, fearful eyes staring straight ahead, Abigail is paraded through the station like public enemy number 1. She imagines them calling Bud to come and pay for her ticket. Oh God, he is going to be so angry. It seems her life is flashing before her eyes as she stares out across the vast parking lot. This night, this bear, this adventure has been the highlight of a pitiful life. Abigail sighs and stands, dejected, as the conductor steps ahead of her to speak to the security officers. What are we going to do, Bear? Abigail whispers. There is a vibration beneath her feet, and a black bullet-shaped sports car slashes through the evening gloom, coming to a smoking stop in front of her. The passenger door snaps open. The handsome stranger motions her in, smiling. Hurry, Abby. Here comes your friends. There is no urgency in his voice as he says this, but Abigail turns to see the 2 armed men headed towards her, coming from both sides. Abigail slides into the car. They're no friends of mine. He guns the motor and blasts the horn, making pedestrians scatter like pigeons. Abby glances over her shoulder. They're getting into cars and coming after us. Within seconds, a red BMW and a silver Mercedes are racing after them. They whip around the huge parking lot, weaving among the few parked cars. The other cars are close behind. They pull alongside, so close Abigail can see guns pointing at her and the men mouthing, "Give up the bear." She gasps and ducks. The stranger yanks the steering wheel and the car spins around, heading off in the other direction. Who are you, anyway? Abigail clutches the dashboard, choking back hysteria. Oh, so sorry. My name is Julian Delancey. He takes his right hand off the steering wheel and offers it to her. She touches his hand briefly and lets it go. A shockwave courses through her entire body. He looks at her, eyebrows lifted. She wondered if he felt it too. A new strength infuses her. Let's get the hell out of here. We will, have no fear. He glances at her and smiles. Even in the dark of the car, Abigail can see how it lights up his face. A strong, handsome face. Her foolish heart flutters. I must say, Abby, that you've shown a remarkable aptitude for taking care of yourself. I'm good at following directions and taking orders, Abigail says. Watch out! A concrete light post looms inches from the windshield. Julian steers easily around it, causing the car to fishtail. He doesn't seem to notice and continues. No, actually, I think you fight for others more easily than for yourself. You've been convinced that you are something other than what you really are. Her reply turns into a scream. They narrowly miss hitting the BMW, which has come toward them like a kamikaze. Julian yanks the steering wheel sharply back and forth, missing first the BMW and then the Mercedes.
There, you see, nothing to it.
He smiles. They're still after us.
I know. This has been fun, but I think it's time to lose them.
He laughs as he pulls down the gear shift. The car shoots off like a rocket. Oh my God! Abigail screams with sudden realization. Not the freeway! He is zigzagging through traffic, advancing rapidly toward the on-ramp. Julian gives her a reassuring grin.
Hang in there, Abby. This is the easy part.
Abigail gulps back another scream. Okay, she says, but what are you going to do about them? The BMW is almost upon them from the left, while the Mercedes is closing in on the right. Abigail sees both men are hanging out the windows, taking aim with Uzis. We're dog food, she says.
Not to worry.
Julian reaches under the dashboard and pushes a blue button. Fog-like smoke wafts from the exhaust, leaving a small black cloud. They cruise onto the freeway. Abigail turns and watches as the two cars, their brakes smoking and squealing, slide sideways into the cloud. There is a sound of crunching metal. As the scene vanishes from her view, Abigail sees the flashing lights of police cars. She turns forward, shaking her head. Nothing will ever surprise me after this evening. They drive in silence for a few miles. Julian reaches out and takes Abigail's hand.
Thank you for what you did tonight.
I'm not even sure what I did, Abigail replies. But I would like to know one thing. What's so important about this teddy bear?
Nothing.
Did you say nothing?
Your taking the bear allowed me to meet my contact unobserved and pass on some valuable information. I knew I was being followed, so I made them think I was handing the information to you. This is a gift for my niece. I've been carrying it around for the past week.
Abigail doesn't know if she should laugh or cry. You were using me.
No. If you hadn't been there to help me, I wouldn't have made it. To be honest, I never thought you were in any danger. I was certain they wouldn't hurt you on a crowded train. I thought that if they threatened you, you simply give up the bear. I underestimated your courage. For that, I am sorry.
But why me? I'm nobody.
When I saw you come from the store, I knew you were the one. Instinct told me that you needed me as much as I needed you.
He looks at her, holding her in his gaze.
Besides, I find you very attractive.
Abigail blushes and turns away, drawing her hand from his. Now I know you're teasing me. I look in the mirror every day.
Who's brainwashed you, Abby?
He asks softly. My parents? Abigail whispers. My brothers? My husband? Julian lifts his hand and pulls down her visor.
Try to see yourself as I see you.
Abigail stares into a mirror. The woman looking back at her has nice features. A warm, glowing complexion, a light in her eyes. She's not bad looking. Not at all. Abigail tries on a smile. It makes the woman in the mirror actually pretty. Gosh, Abigail thinks, I should smile more often. If only I had something to smile about.
You deserve more, Abby.
Julian says,
if I didn't have to fly out to the South Pacific immediately, I'd...
He gazes thoughtfully out the window and Abigail holds her breath. He takes her hand again.
Believe me, Abby, I would have enjoyed getting to know you better.
Abigail releases her breath and a weight settles in her chest. She thinks it is her heart dying. I guess that's that. She continues to hold his hand, however.
You know, Abby, you really are a better person than you've been led to believe. Have faith, believe in yourself, and don't let anyone bully you. Stand up for yourself and fight, like you did for me.
He squeezes her hand.
I wish there had been time for us.
They ride the rest of the way in silence until they pull into Union Station. Julian walks her to her car and unlocks the door for her. Abigail's hands are shaking badly. She turns to him. Thank you, Julian, for a most memorable trip to the store. Thank you. You were wonderful. He puts his arms around her and pulls her to him in a long, gentle hug. Abigail has to fight back tears. She pulls away from him and gets into her car. "Goodbye, Julian," she says hoarsely and drives away without looking at him again. She cries all the way home, barely seeing where she is going, not caring. In a matter of only a few hours, everything is different. What will her real life be like after this? She walks into the house and finds Bud, still stretched out on the sofa, surrounded by potato chip crumbs and empty bags. He doesn't ask where she's been or if she's all right. He grabs the six-pack from her and snarls, "This beer is warm. Can't you do anything right, Abigail?" Abigail looks at him for a few seconds, then reaches into her purse and brings out the gun. Bud's tiny, puffy eyes widen. "Call me Abby," Abby says and fires the gun, drenching his porcine face. A car horn blasts outside. Abby runs to the window. Across the street sits a large black bullet shape, its engine idling, waiting. "He's come back for me," her heart sings. "He's come for me." "Abigail, where do you think you're going?" Bud calls as she starts out the door. "Abigail, what about Mom? Hey, get back here!" Abby turns to him one last time. "I think your mother's calling you, Bud." She slams the door behind her. The beach is pristine, an untouched expanse of sparkling sand. The water is clear blue and inviting, gently lapping at the shore, and the chi-chi, served as Abby knew it would be, in a coconut shell, is cool against her tongue. Delicious. She stretches under the warm sun and smiles as she watches Julian walk out of the surf toward her. Drops of water glistening on his muscular, familiar body. His teeth gleam against his sun-brown face as he grins and waves. A moment later, he bends over her. "Hello, beautiful." His lips press against hers. Romance novels, Abby thinks, have nothing on reality.
Thank you for listening to In the Now Eventually. If you enjoyed this, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe.